Calling the meeting to order. Live simultaneous Spanish interpretation of the board meeting will be provided for those who are viewing online. Se dispondrá de interpretación simultánea del inglés al español durante la reunión de Consejo de Educación para quienes la estén viendo por internet. Okay, and now we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll have roll call.
Okay, it looks like Mrs. Alvarez Flores is absent. Dr. Armistead,
Present.
Mrs. Cardy,
Here.
Ms. Ehrman,
Here.
Mrs. Frost,
Here.
Mrs. Reed,
Here.
Mr. Walker. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We have, doesn't seem like we have any changes to the agenda. So now we have time for comments, board comments. Does anyone have any comments?
I do. I had the pleasure of virtually attending the 25-26 Employee Service Awards, March 3rd. And that was a celebration of 50 very happy employees of SBCEO whose tenure spans from 5 to 30 years. I was thrilled to have known the 30-year employee. Didn't even realize she had this is Amber Hardy, who lives in my community. I did not realize she had put in 30 years. And then it was really very instructional to learn that there is both a Janelle Williams, who's a financial advisor, and Janelle Willis, who's in early care and education. They both have 15 years. So I'm sure in 15 years, you've gotten to tell the difference between the names, but it was very illustrious for me. Thank you.
I got to do a couple things. I got to take a tour in Hope District at a couple of the schools. So inspiring. Got to do that with Dr. Salcedo and just really, really enjoyed that time. Hope to do more. And then I did reading for a first grade class at Cleveland Elementary School. So both just fabulous experiences.
I had the pleasure of going with Dr. Salcedo to Dunlop Elementary School in the Orchid District, where we have 2 hard of hearing classrooms. And oh my goodness, if you've ever seen 2 teachers put out more energy, more engagement, Joanna signs while she talks, both in English and in Spanish. I mean, it's just incredible. And the kids, seeing the kids and how engaged they were and what was happening, it was just a tremendous experience. Recommend it for anyone.
School board related, on the 2nd, I attended the Central Coast Budget and Legislative Update, so I feel very prepared for the budget discussion of today. I'm super looking forward to attending the science fair that's happening this weekend. And then my hospital is going to be doing an Emerging Leaders Interdisciplinary Conference about AI and healthcare. So I'm very excited to attend that. One of the people from my hospital is going to be there doing part of the discussion. So I think it'll be really cool.
Just to add on to member McCarty's statement about the Staff Appreciation Awards, I was able to attend that as well. And it was just really heartwarming to see all the staff that have been able to be recognized for their years of service, again, spanning from 5 all the way up to 30 years, which is incredible. And we were saying they must like their boss a lot to stay so long. So, all righty. So we're going to move on now to a presentation by Gateway, and this presentation will be by the co-directors of Gateway Educational Services, Connie Alexander and Audrey Gamble. And before you guys begin, I just want to say I'm so pleased to introduce this presentation because I've been following the work of Gateway Educational Services for several years and am continually impressed by the support that you provide to students and families throughout the community, throughout the county. On a personal note, my daughter participated in the college readiness program, and the guidance and support that she received really helped alleviate a great deal of stress and uncertainty during the college application process. And in addition to that, your extensive network and resources were instrumental in helping to access scholarships and grants, which she might not have. We, might not have had the ability to access without that service. So to me, you guys represent our county's unsung heroes in education. And so I'm really pleased that you're here today to talk more about your work.
No, thank you. Thank you for that nice introduction.
Yes, unsung heroes. I like that. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Audrey Gamble, and I am one of the founders and co-directors of Gateway Educational Services.
And I'm Connie Alexander. I'm the other co-founder. So we have a short presentation for you today, a little bit about our background, what we're doing. We're so happy to partner with all the districts that we partner with, and we do consider ourselves to be partners. Right now, that partnership puts us into Lompoc Unified, Santa Barbara Unified, and Goleta Union as MOUs.
Our purpose and focus that we want to explain a little bit about you today is that we provide direct services, direct intervention in reading and math for grades 2 through 9. And it's always a one-to-one model. And that includes our college readiness program, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
And then in terms of like the overall picture for us, so just to give you an idea of who we serve. So in the South County, so we're in Goleta. 55% of those students are Latinx, 30% African American, 15% would say other. Reading and math focus is for South County. North County, we were able to open a facility in North County in 2024. And that is just a literacy program that is K through 6. And in fact, last summer, we launched and did a kinder transition pilot in Lompoc last summer because of some of the things that we learned about KSEP results in Lompoc. And so we're going to be looking for how we can do that again and broaden that. So that just gives you a little picture of like our overall demographics of kind of who we're serving.
So who are African American students and families in Santa Barbara County? So first of all, we have 70% of first-gen students. And I just want to touch on the point that we have 48% biracial students in the entire county. The biggest composition of Black students are in Lompoc proper, in the city of Lompoc. The parent engagement is a very important part of what we do. We have meetings every quarter. We do progress reports for every student for 6 to 8 weeks. And we also have a group that we've put together called the Parents of Black Students, Advocacy Council. And we meet on a monthly basis to discuss whatever it is that's they're interested in and provide information. We also in the Lompoc Center, we have a mental health arm, which we are providing services based on referrals from academics into our mental health care services.
And I will say that we partnered on that mental health part with the Healing Space from UCSB to provide that. So there is a referral system because we noticed how many of our Black African Americans and families were not accessing the mental health. And so this is now those kids, those families have a way to directly find therapists of color. And so that has been a great partnership, and we appreciate the Santa Barbara Foundation for getting that off the ground with us. So if we just took one district and say, okay, look specifically at these students. So we kind of wanted to give you a picture of like what has been happening when we think about what happens. So students have access to us usually from May to September, that's 2 sessions a week. When we look at our Black African American students, so this is 2023, like to say, okay, how did they do? So you can see the levels there of where they were in terms of being below grade level. So that was the average. About 6 of those students have IEPs. Overall, in all of our demographic, about 30% of the students that come to Gateway have IEPs. The parents, that range, and I'm going to talk about how we get to that range, but the improvement on the range is significant because they're getting one-to-one services. So because that's like 90 minutes a week of one-to-one on a specific program for them, we do see a little bit higher on that improvement for them. I noticed there's a new buzzword out there. They're calling it high impact tutoring. Right. So we laughed. We're like, oh, okay. There's got a new buzzword, but that's what we're doing. That's essentially what we're doing. And then we do find that we have very high engagement in attendance. We don't have people not showing up. They come. So we use iReady. So if you're familiar, if you've ever seen iReady, that's our diagnostic. And so we do diagnostics 3 times a year with the students, beginning of the year, then we do the January, and then we're doing one in late May, beginning of June, so that we can track that. So this looks better on your sheet when you guys are looking at it, but really it's about how we can see, a typical student. We look and it's like, where was that starting point for that student? Was it phonics? Was it vocabulary? So we're looking at for reading at a really core piece of what makes up how you become a strong reader. So for us, it's always been phonics. We've always been phonics based. It's things like high frequency words, vocabulary. So you can see we can track for a student how they start to do. And so sometimes mid-year we'll see like, oh, you're having a little slump, or the curriculum accelerated and got harder. So then we might see a little slump, but then we see the bump where we have moved, right? So this is it's been fantastic to work with this diagnostic. We've had it for about 3 or 4 years now to work with iReady. And they've been great at supporting our team, what we've learned. And we can do this diagnostic for parents in English and Spanish. And so it's been really helpful the way it aligns for the school districts that are using STAR. So it's been really helpful for our parents to have a good sense of where is my child right now. If they want to walk in and go, where are they right now? We can help them understand. And students who have the IEPs, because we go to a lot of IEP meetings with our students, so that's something we provide is attending IEP meetings. They can work with this, and we can use it when we're sitting with teachers, right? And the teachers appreciate the fact of how much tracking we're doing.
So for college readiness, and as the chairman said that we had chairwoman, sorry. My daughter too has gone through our college readiness program. That's her at the top there. We are in our 13th cohort right now. So, and every year we put all of these students through the path to get to college. It's a little different than when we all went to college, right? And a little more stress. And so we want to make sure that we were able to remove that stress from the parent and focus strictly on the journey to college. So we help them with test taking strategies. We help them with getting scholarships, what school fits them most. Not everyone, wants to go to big school, small, but everyone has the opportunity in this state to go to a school that suits them, that fits their needs. And so we are able to provide that for them. Our students usually go to college. They get in and out in 4 years. That's the goal. And so we have a very high percentage, 99% even getting fully funded. Some even got refunds because they got done early. So that's been a really amazing opportunity for us to talk about. We take juniors and take them all the way through the program. It's about 14, 18-month engagement. And even in their first year of college, we help them with the transition. So it's a warm handoff, and we keep them close. We love all the kids. So they start as juniors. This cohort has 5 African-American juniors and 2 Latinas, and we're in process right now. We have a class on Saturday with them. So we're really looking forward to seeing what they do.
And then there's other opportunities for engagement for community to engage with us. So we run some summer programs. There's the STEAM Academy for girls. That's about ages 10 to 14. That's focused on math, engineering, physics. It's project-based learning. They love it. And this, yeah, and I'll talk about the other one in a second. We have Obsidian Scholars that kind of tends to run year round. This year, for the first time, we're trying to do Obsidian Scholars on a campus. So we're trying to work on that at Santa Barbara Junior High. And so, you know, we love the fact that we learn. We come into a community, we sit down, we're trying to figure out what's happening. So that particular junior high has needed more support this way. And so we're just trying to get that moving. And what we do in that Obsidian Scholars is civic engagement, cultural history, art, music. It's really a beautiful, well-rounded program. And then in the summer, we do the Black Youth Leadership Summit, which is grades 5 through 12 in August. This year, it's August 15th. And this is the largest event for Black youth in Santa Barbara County. So we bus them from Lompoc and Santa Maria, and they come to SBCC for the day, and we spend a whole beautiful day in personal development and history and leadership. There's the outlet for music, for art, but it's really a belonging and a beautiful sacred space in that way for our kids. And it's become quite a hub because so many, like, we get so many adults that want to come. We're like, this is kind of a kid thing. And we have all these adults signing up going, can I come? I just want to hang out. So that's a really fun thing that we've been able to do. And this will be our fourth, and you'll see a video about it in a second. So what we've launched new in Lompoc is what we're calling the Carver Society, which is STEM education for pathway for grades 7, 8. We're working on that with Lompoc Unified. We received a grant through Uplift Catalyst to start this program, to get it started, to get the first cohort going. So the idea is the cohorts will be 20 students a year, and they will be given math support. So we're going to do a lot of math diagnostic. And then from that math diagnostic, they will also have the opportunity to engage and get some ideas. So we're going to go do trips. We are so excited. We're going to be working with the UCSB National Society of Black Engineers. That club of students is going to be coming up, driving up from UCSB to Santa Barbara, to Lompoc, to be the program mentors and to work with them. So we're super excited. And we had the kickoff on the rainiest night ever. That was crazy. And so they have some things that for their first big one is April 4th. They're going to do some things with them. March 28th, we're going to the Botanic Gardens to do a study about George Washington Carver and botany. So it's just more opportunities to give our students a bigger background, a bigger piece of engagement.
And coming up this week, Sunday, we will be at the CAW, which is the Cultural Arts Workshop. We every year for the last 3 years, we have done a Stop the Hate poster contest, which is funded by the State of California Department of Social Services. And it's an opportunity for the kids to just express themselves about how they feel about hate and hate speech. And so we have highlighted I Am Ruby Bridges. This is her original book. And it's all about positivity. You know, we're living in a tough time right now. And so we're just trying to be positive in every step that we take with these kids. And so this contest had over 500 submissions. You should see my living room. But it's been so fun to see how talented these kids are and the way that they're able to express themselves on poster board. And so it'll be held there from 2:30 to 5, and it's open to the families and the participants that come, and it's going to be a wonderful event. So we're really excited about it.
And this year we're extending that poster contest into Lompoc. So we picked 2 schools, La Honda and Clarence Ruth, this year for the month of March. So we're working with them right now as a pilot to see if we can't then next year, all of Lompoc Unified would do it as well, to just be able to do that. And yeah, it's like Audrey said, it's a really beautiful opportunity. So we look for as many opportunities to engage with community as we possibly can, to be able to, one, connect with parents and students, but also uplift what is not always said in our community, right? And from the perspective of social justice, many of the students have never met African-American educators before. And so this is an opportunity for them to engage with us in that way. And so we love it and we look forward to doing it every year. So, and now we have a little short video that gives you some background on the Black Youth Summits. This is a fun video that, which by the way, was this year filmed by a little team from the Dunn School who came and helped film this. So Ezra Gates helped us with this and he brought his students and it was really fun. They filmed this year and worked on the edit of the video. So it was really fun to work with them. Gateway Educational Services started 16 years ago. And our intention was to provide students with something I didn't have when I was going to school, which was academic support. And so it started with a really simple idea that how do we help students thrive academically? How do we find the students who are most in need to thrive academically, who don't have those tools, who don't have those resources? So we started with a folding table and a card table and a couple of folding chairs. And from there, today we have 2 thriving learning centers and we're serving hundreds of students in Santa Barbara County.
Gateway is an open door. My daughter was shy to start tutoring. It has given her confidence, affirmations on her level of intellect and her capabilities. And Gateway's learned her talents. And again, as I expressed, it's affirmed her talents. She now works for Gateway. So she went from coming in as a tutored student to a Gateway employee.
To watch the community of parents grow, that these parents love being together, love supporting their kids together. So what we've said lately is that we really do feel like we've become a learning community. And that encompasses like everything that we do, that we're a learning community. We were in a meeting with some parents. And the parents expressed to us that they didn't feel like there was anything very specific that addressed their students' needs. Like, where is the place that Black African American students go to, first of all, just experience a joyful day together? And so one of the moms said, can we just have one day? I mean, that's all I need. Can I just have one day where we bring everybody together and we have a joyful day? And that day focuses on leadership. And me and Audrey looked at each other and said, yeah, we can do that. And so 3 years ago, that's where we started.
This request to have just one day of fun and creativity for kids was supposed to be a one-time thing. And since it was such a big success, they've asked us to do it again. And now we're in our 3rd year and it looks like we're going to be doing it again. So we're really excited that
we also
we're getting
wanted to
as much
have
participation.
an opportunity for
and just
the
look at the
students
kids,
to
how
have
happy
what we
they
call
were.
art
The
expression
parents were included.
that fits
the districts
culturally, art
included.
expression.
So everyone is welcome here to learn.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like we got to go back to Ezra. There's West Africa. So. No, that's okay. Because I think we're done. Okay, they want to see. Okay. African drumming. There's Black African American art. There's literature. There's poetry that is in the style of Black African American poetry. So things that weren't just art, all those things, but things that fit culturally, that would give them an opportunity to just express who they really are, their full selves. Spaces like what we're providing right now are very essential to give students a place to thrive, to give students and families a place to connect is really important. So that's why we're here. And we want to stay in this space. And as long as parents want us to provide this for their kids, as long as students want to come and be a part of it, we want to stay in this space.
They just give us the opportunity. They provide us those kinds of things, and I really appreciate that.
I love how much support it is. There's so many opportunities you can do, so much support, so much volunteer work you can do. I did camp, STEM camp for girls. I got all my volunteer hours because of that, and I had none. And now I have all of them just because of that. Gateway helped me with that.
Thank you. Oh, are there any questions? Okay.
I was not aware of your program, and I live in Santa Maria, and I am blown away. I really am. This is just wonderful. It's so specific, which is exactly what's needed instead of this broad brush. We need to address it. One thing caught my attention, and this may not be something you have the information on, but it just caught me that the percentage that of the students who have IEPs is very high.
Mhm.
Is there one consistent type of IEP? Is it, behavioral? Is it neurological? Is it, and I'm not putting you on the spot. If that isn't something that you have, that's fine. It just something I
So,
was interested in.
I think we've gone through that of times periods where and in the state, we address disproportionality, right? Like, oh, seems like this is a little high. So there were questions about that on the state level, and states asking districts to kind of re-look at why this is disproportionately so high. But what we see in those IEPs, so they're kind of all over the place, but I would say we see mostly sensory challenges. So audio processing and those sensory challenges seem to come up pretty high. Now there's terms we don't use anymore, like we don't say dyslexia anymore. Like there's things we don't say anymore, but we see where that is there. There's certainly a portion of students that have ADHD, but ADHD is not a reason to get an IEP. So in my opinion, it's not a reason to get an IEP. Usually it's kind of partnered with another thing, so ADHD and we got sensory, we got other things that match to that. So yeah, we recognize the part that might be disproportional, but we also recognize and appreciate the fact that the state is doing screening so much earlier, because I'm hoping that we can catch a lot of things much earlier, like those second graders, those third graders. We really need to catch this early so that we aren't on IEPs forever, right? That we do the work and we transition out. So yeah, but that's why we really are strong advocates for our families in that space. We go to IEP meetings, we read them all, we give them to we have some relationships with some other educational PhD folks who kind of look at those sometimes with families to have a second look for somebody else to look at those. So we offer that as well. Other question? Yeah.
Presentation. Great work that you're doing out in the community. The FAFSA piece. How often do you do it? That's part of what I'm thinking of it sounds like digging through these cases and underrepresented communities for the community. And so while I know that there's explaining the available in public schools, it sounds like some way to stop those women and how also probably those
So, any of the families that go through our cohorts, we definitely help them with the timeline of like when they should know they need to have that done. If it seems like, and we definitely do a workshop with those parents. So there's like a workshop that we can do with them. We can do it a few times. A lot of times we're doing it one-to-one with them on that workshop part. And then we refer them to the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, who can actually do, like, if they want to come in, do the simulation on their computers, do all that work too. So it depends on what the needs in those cohorts look like. Okay.
Going to ask for what are there opportunities for adults to volunteer?
So we have the Black Youth Summit every year, and it's a heavy lift trying to prepare for it and break down afterwards. So I would say that would be one of the ways that you could have the opportunity to volunteer.
And if someone did want to try and volunteer as a tutor, we have a pretty extensive training that they need to go through, and they would get vetted and all the same things as other people. We appreciate the fact that we have a lot of young first-gen students from UCSB on our work study program who are in there, and we love providing those jobs for them. But I was just telling Superintendent that we really could use some more tutors in Lompoc. it's been harder for us to find that tutoring pool in Lompoc. So we have littles on the waiting list right now that we'd love to get off that waiting list. So in helping us spread the word that we could use some folks, tutors in Lompoc, we definitely could use some help. Literacy reading tutors for Lompoc. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Connie and Audrey, both for this presentation, taking the time to show us today what you're doing. The depth and the breadth of this work is really fantastic. I'm trying to get a sense of how many students you serve per year and how it divides up North and South County. And then wondering, do you work with after-school programs or Lompoc Teen Center? Do you collaborate at all with referrals or service to any of those programs, or are you site-based?
So we're a little more site-based. And right now, that distribution, there's about 68 students that we're serving right now. And then the bulk of those are in South County right now. So, it's a little under 20 or so that are available for Lompoc. And like I said, we're trying to get them off that list, that waiting list in Lompoc. And then since we're doing primarily academic work, we're not really doing social emotional work after school. So, but the other agencies do know that they can refer kids out to us. So they kind of know. And our collaborations are probably more geared towards our MOUs, where the districts know that they can refer students. We have a goal list who we're working with, that kind of thing. So yeah, but we're very well known in the nonprofit area here. So the other nonprofit leaders know about us and definitely call us when there's situations or they need some support.
Great, thank you.
Yes, definitely good program. I'm sorry, my dear. But I was wondering about the staffing. Do you have retired teachers there? Do you have, what does the staffing look like in terms of the support that the students are given?
So we have a contract with UCSB. And so we hire those students as tutors. Currently, we are looking specifically in Lompoc for paraeducators.
Okay.
Because their hours line up more with what we're doing, because all of our tutoring is done on site after at our location after school. So we don't interrupt the school day at all.
Most of the retired teachers say we were retired. Reason. But I will say that in our Lompoc Center right now, we have a former preschool teacher, someone who taught preschool for 12 years, and it's great to have her. We also have a former special education certified teacher who's working with that group in Lompoc because we are trying to really drill down on the literacy. So yeah, and then we also during the summer is when we have some paraeducators that come and work with us down in South County. So some who have worked for Hope School District and some other school districts, they come and work in the summer because we're year round. And that summer has been a fantastic time to catch that grades 1 through 3 on reading, right? They come in, it's 12 weeks, it's like 3 times a week. We're working on all those things. And so, yeah, our magical team in the summer is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And I asked because I know rifting and pink slips are coming out for teachers out there in the district. So I just wondered, because a lot of times the first and second year teachers say, well, what am I going to do? I just wonder
We hope that those don't stay. That's what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah.
We need them all to stay.
Yeah.
Hopefully figure out how to find that money. We need them all to stay where they are.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you both for this incredible presentation. And you mentioned, Audrey, that this is a very difficult time right now, and we definitely feel that. Have you noticed any changes with like funding or grants during this time because of political changes that we're experiencing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think people are funders are a little bit fearful about giving funds because of, DEI and all those other programs that are getting cut. So yeah, we do feel that a little bit, but regardless of what happens, we're here to stay and we make a way and find a way to work everything out. So we don't like turning anyone down. If they need help, we will find a way. I'm a mother. I'm sure a lot of you in here are mothers, and when your kid needs something, Papa. Except for, I said a lot. but dads too, so we got mama bears and papa bears. Okay. So we will always find a way to help people as often as we can. We try to work it out because if you need the help, you need the help. No matter what the circumstances is, that help is always going to be there. So we will always try to be there as well.
And thank you for that funding question, because we were driving over here and we are on the phone with our grant writer and she's like trying to finish something. I'm like, okay, we'll be back to the desk, because that's what it is for us. It's
Mhm.
like a constant, like looking for those funds. It is constant. And so, it would be nice to have a little relief to feel that level of pressure. But like Audrey said, we just keep pivoting and looking for other sources, but yeah, we definitely feel that pushback. Yeah, we do.
Oh,
Yeah, we did
thank
get
you.
that. Right,
Thank
we did
you.
get that.
Yeah.
Yes, we appreciate that. Well,
Thank you so much
thank
again.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
for
Really
the time.
appreciate you guys
Thank
coming out.
My mic wasn't working for a second.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so now we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you so much and good afternoon to all of you. And thank you so much. All of you. Yes, and Connie, thank you so much. Incredible dynamic duo. Yeah, of impact. I submitted a report to you and wanted to refer to it today, but also add to it today. So I'd like to actually start at the end. I'm chuckling to myself at the different countywide meetings and events that many of you have been part of. And it just has been a really fun few weeks together. Several of you've mentioned some of these events together, and one was an actual accidental meeting, I'll say, on February 28th. Anna and I and two other individuals, Isabel Guerrero and Elise Simmons, facilitate our student advisory council. And it was our first meeting in person that we'd met with them before. And there are 30 high school students from across the county. And we convened at I'll call it relatively new Buellton Library. They moved about a year ago. It's a lovely setting. Yeah, gorgeous there. And so we had 30 high school students. We were just fired up and talking with them. We had special guests that day. And we had special guests that day because Guy and Molly Walker walk in. And they were there at the library too for a different event. So it's, even though your name's not there, you were there. But anyway, just lots of interactions with our board members and appreciation for this is, while it's my calendar, this doesn't represent your calendars. Your calendars are so full. And whenever you can, I know, and it doesn't always work out, but whenever you can, you're with us at school sites and events, and it's just very, very meaningful. And I have been saying very much recently how incredible our board members are as community leaders in your own areas, and to have us together, walking together in some spaces, it just feels really good. So I want to say thank you to each of you. I also want to say on February 21st, also happened to be Guy Walker and Mary Beth Carty were in the audience and supporting two individuals on our board, Nadra and Katia, who were initiated as two inaugural women of 31 African-American women leaders representing San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. They are just 31 exclusive, incredible women from all different sectors, and they have started a new Links chapter here. Mr. Guy was a sponsor, I think, of the whole program, and Mary Beth and I happened to be able to be there to support the 31 individuals. It was a truly spectacular event in so many ways. One, if I could just lay a foundation of what I walked into, or what I felt when I was walking into, is at the Hilton. And many of us has been to this same Hilton ballroom many, many times. And I just don't know that I've ever felt it and seen it be so elegant and spectacularly laid, out and packed from wall to wall to wall to wall, 400 individuals there, or more. And the links, the women had been celebrating and having ceremonial things, the night before and the morning of, and all these things. And, one after another, as the procession came in, the 31 women, it was just one woman after another who have made and will continue to make a significant stamp and signature on our world. And really remarkable. And so congratulations to Nadra and Katia. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Truly remarkable. And I understand that this class will be a class together, I think a cohort for 2 years before more members will be initiated or allowed in or invited in. But truly tremendous. Secret society, no society, but just really good. And they said they couldn't say, yeah.
It's a secret. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very
Thanks for
special.
being there. We
Very
really
special.
appreciate the support.
Yeah.
And we hope to make a big dent in this community and do a lot of service.
Yes,
So
it's a
Nadra and I are rolling up our sleeves and doing work.
It is absolutely about service. So I'm really excited to be a part, to have been a part of that, to witness it. So a few more announcements or important places that I'd like to pause. So at the beginning of your report, I have several dates and events that I'm hoping you will mark on your calendars. So today I really want to say something about each one, very little. So the annual dinner that we've already announced for the Santa Barbara County School Boards Association. The School Boards Association is also paying for optionally if you'd like to go to the Chumash Museum ahead of time. So the formal invitations will be coming soon, but even informally, if you'd like to let Anna or Arlene or myself know, we'd love to save your spot. The SBCEO Education Celebration happens in the spring. The date is May 21st. If you would like to mark your calendar, if you can make it, we'd love to have you there for this dinner event. Child Abuse Prevention and Mandated Reporter is a training that we will share with you one more time in an email. We wanted to go, it's a mandated training for board members. We'll send you information once again. You have already received an email somewhere in your email about the Form 700. Austin and Craig we sent a memo to you to further explain that. I'm going to come right back to the Olive Grove petition. So I want to share that with you, but wanted to a couple more things. One is Children's Creative Project hosts the Modenari Chalk Festival each year. And right, as you can see behind me, we like to, in the last few years, we've co-sponsored an SBCEO County Board Square, 12 by 12 square. And if you would like to contribute, no pressure, you could $5, $100, however you'd like to do it. Last year, our square was the young woman on the right there. But we will send an email to say if you'd like to, please be a part of that, and we'll sponsor a 12 by 12 square together. So that's an opportunity. Board retreat. So we've talked about a board retreat. I'm hoping I have the date right as July 9th, which is the second Thursday of July. We had those who were not in attendance at the last board meeting, we communicated with and got a thumbs up that date works for everyone here. So I wanted to give you a quick update to say that I have found, I think, a really good facilitator with experience in facilitating with county boards, just a real level-headed, easy to work with person who I think gets us. So highly recommended by some colleagues around the state. And so had an initial meeting with her, I think it was yesterday or the day before. And as Vita, as the chair of the planning committee, I want to talk with Vita a little bit further, but just wanted to let you know that was good news. She's available on the 9th. And so we're moving in that direction.
Is
Yes,
that going to be in Santa Maria?
it will be in the valley, Santa Ynez
Somewhere in
Valley.
the-
Yeah, somewhere in the valley.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that we can all be in the middle there. And we were floating around the idea of a most primarily AM retreat. So don't hold me to this yet, but like 8:30 to 12:30 or something like that with breakfast and lunch and things. So Guy, thank you. What was that? Why? We are on the clock. It's an official board meeting. And then, so I'm going to go back to the Olive Grove petition. And also, I've asked Austin to give an update on the Supreme Court ruling related to parents and notification, children and gender, but identity. So I have those two updates to provide, but Judy has a question. Then I go to Mrs. Fox.
Have we officially then repurposed the July 9th board meeting? Or is it possible that we would have the retreat and then need to have a board meeting to be determined?
Right. It is the latter.
Okay.
Because if there are required actions of the board because of timing,
Right.
something comes up very now. We will already be at board meeting, but then we want to further agendize other actions that we would need to take. But if we don't need to have actions because of the timing beyond the retreat, then I would suggest with meeting with Nadra first that we delay that till the August board meeting.
And if we do, we can just stay in place.
Stay in
and
place.
Just continue. Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
stay in place.
So we don't necessarily have to wait till 2:00.
No,
Okay.
exactly. We could attach it to the front. We could attach it to the end. We could put it wherever we'd like to, as long as it's agendized.
Calendar, I am challenged with getting Benson's doggy daycare calendar.
The truth emerges. I like it. All right. So then the last two topics, I'd love to see if there's any other questions, but I do want to talk about those two items. So the remaining items, okay, Olive Grove Charter and then Austin's update. Thank you, Austin. So Olive Grove petition. So at your places, you have on letterhead a letter that we submitted to the state board. Okay. And so I wanted for you to see it. And as a reminder, Olive Grove Charter School petitioned 4 school districts. 3 school districts approved the petition. Santa Barbara denied the petition. And because it is a state board authorized charter, it bypasses us and goes to the state board. And so we have zero say in the matter. It's the law. We don't, but to the credit of CDE, the California Department of Education, they did meet us, myself and Bridget, to talk through what would this look like if you're the authorizer? What do you think? And the law says that the petitioner, Olive Grove, the state asks the petitioner, who would you like to be your authorizer? That's how this law works. Yeah, it's a very unique situation. It's very unique in that the state board is removing itself as an authorizer. And so during this time when petitions are removing off of their authorization, this law is in place. So those are the components. The petitioner reviews it, and when it goes to the state must ask the petitioner, which entity would you like to be the authorizer? The petitioner, Olive Grove Charter School Santa Barbara, stated that they would like us to be the authorizer. So, and Meg Ridman is the director, and she's been the director of Olive Grove for now about 7 years. And she's a really strong leader. She participates in countywide, what we offer as a county, and our relationship is very, very positive. And she requested that we be the authorizer. So again, back to the credit of the CDE, we were able to share with them our thoughts. And so on this letter, not that you have had time to read it, but I do want to point out to you what we shared with the state board as a public comment. And Bridget Boblitz, who's not here today, flew to Sacramento to be there this morning for the for the hearing. We thought it was really important, even though we don't have a real say in it, we wanted to say what we could in public comment, and we got a minute for public comment. Hey, yeah, so, but, and I don't mean it sarcastically. I mean, we just weren't part of the appeal or the hearing. That's what we got to do. So we asked the State Board of Education to consider having Santa Barbara Unified be the authorizer. And so back to the district, and reason one, where you see on the first page, consideration one. And this really is as authentic as I can. I mean, really, we thought it could be an opportunity for Olive Grove, Santa Barbara, that exists in the Santa Barbara Unified School District and the district to work together to form some agreements, because you're really working with counselor referring to counselor, or a principal, families going from one another. So we thought could be a really good opportunity. We saw this, we are seeing this with Olive Grove, Lompoc, and Lompoc, Olive Grove, Santa Ynez, Olive Grove, Santa, we're seeing that example. So we thought it would be a consideration. The second consideration, which is in the letter, is that no matter who the authorizer is, the Santa Barbara Unified is a basic aid community funded district. And so their property taxes actually get routed to fund the Olive Grove Charter School in Santa Barbara. Even if we are the authorizer, the funds, that's how it flows. So we thought it would be helpful to have a closeness, since the funding is very close there in proximity from the district to the charter school. And yes, you got it.
Even if we have the authorizer.
Yes.
Even for the authorizers, the funds, tell me, why are the funds going to Santa Barbara Unified?
Yes, I'm reading it here. The funds don't go to Santa Barbara Unified. What it means is the funding that the funds, because Santa Barbara Unified is a basic aid district, that they're I'm looking for the right words here. It's right in here.
Sponsoring local education agency remains a school district that initiated.
There it is. The sponsoring local educational agency, paragraph 2, is responsible for the transfer of in lieu property tax revenues associated with students attending the charter school. It's an education code. It is a transfer of their in lieu property taxes from Santa Barbara to Olive Grove, Santa Barbara.
Olive Grove, Santa Barbara.
Yeah. Okay.
And that same would apply to Olive Grove, whatever.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And so the third consideration we asked for the state board to think about was that, we knew going in that the CDE, the California Department of Education staff, was going to recommend a 5-year approval. We knew that going in a couple of weeks ago. So we thought it would be helpful to allow time for the district and the charter to work together for 5 years. They haven't had a chance to work together because the state has been the authorizer. So they've been coexisting, but how about being mutually beneficial for 5 years? So we recognize that the charter and the district student-centered, let's see if we can make this mutually beneficial. So I wanted to share that with you because we could have chosen to just remain quiet or silent or not go, but we decided we really wanted to be present, and share our thinking. Bridget attended, and we watched the streaming, and the state board did go forward with a 5-year approval. They recognized our statement and letter, and however, asked us to be the authorizer. So that is their action. And so we are the authorizer of Olive Grove, Santa Barbara. And Bridget had an opportunity to speak with Meg Ridman, the director, while they're there, as well as Steve Benz from Santa Barbara, who was there. And Bridget, represented us exactly as we would ever expect, which was to, express how much we care about the students. We want the authorization and relationship to go very positively. I called Meg about hour before this board meeting and expressed to her, we want this to go well. We want this to go well for the students. We haven't been an authorizer before, so we've got some learning to do. And in my point of view, because this is set, it is set that we want this to go really well. We want to have clear expectations from the get-go. We don't want surprises at the end of the 5-year. We want the charter to know the expectations, because we all have to have the same expectations for approval or denial at the end of the 5 years. And that, we look forward to having a very positive relationship on behalf of the students. So thank you for listening to the long story. I wanted to give you the full story today. And we will our team will meet with Olive Grove's team in the coming weeks to see what we need to establish, an agreement, a working agreement, how this will work. So I will pause there and see if you have any questions at this time.
I think you answered mine right now, because you mentioned you're going to meet with them and figure out
Yes,
the road ahead. And
yes,
Okay.
Yes, you will.
But it will be under Bridget's area.
It will be under Bridget's area and leadership. Exactly. Yes.
Thank you.
So like new parents. Oh, where's the baby? I wanted to ask, just so I'm making sure that I understand the fiscal impact. So with the sponsoring local education agency, that is the Santa Barbara Unified School District. So their basically funds are being taken out of their budget for this charter, even though we're the authorizer.
That's correct.
And was that the case when the CDC was the authorizer as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So this is,
Yes.
okay.
And we will, I don't know the answer of this yet, but I know for sure that this concept is true, which is when an entity is an authorizer, there is an administrative percentage that of the charter school operations that come to us to authorize and staff that work. It's not, I would say, fully sufficient, but it is part of that agreement between, and it's for all charter schools and all their authorizers, that there's usually between a 1% to 3% authorization cost that then will come to the county office to be the authorizers.
Susan, does Bridget's team have the capacity to administrate this program? And do you need additional staff? And would that be offset by those revenues?
Right. I am not sure yet, because we really need to unpack what does it mean to be, first of all, we want to do this well going forward. That there's just absolutely no question. We want to do a really good job, thorough job of being whatever it means to be, an authorizer. And so I'm not sure yet. I, from what I understand from other entities that are authorizers, typically that 1% to 3%, and I think it might be capped. There may be a formula. So I say, I don't know that it's a choice, but anyway, I don't think it covers the cost. And so we may need to expand the capacity in our organization to be able to be authorizers. So thank you for asking the question. And we're very mindful of asking the right questions of ourselves to know what this looks like going forward. What will it mean for board reports of the charter? Because that's part of it too. What will it mean for visiting and for lack of better word, authorizing the charter school by being there? What kind of data reports will we need to have the charter provide? And I know for sure for me, and I think you would feel the same, is that by the end of the 5 years, we don't want that to be the first time we've met each other. We don't want to not know what is going on. That's how I'm feeling and approaching it right now.
I'm sure I have a bunch of questions.
Okay.
I don't really know what they are, so but I'll ask a couple of things and I'll read through this and try to better understand. So Olive Grove feels like a franchise. I'm hearing 4 locations and 4 different authorizers.
Yes, there are 4 locations and 4 different authorizers starting July 1st, 2026.
And is there some sort of unifying document, something that says what you do at some of what you do at one, you have to do it all?
I believe they're each their own, what we call a CDS code, a school code, and they each, Olive Grove needed to submit a separate petition to each authorizer. There are commonalities of Olive Grove, and so, but by nature of being Olive Grove, and I believe the last time I looked into it deeply, it was a combination of delivery of school, which is partially in seat, partially at home.
And this might be an ultimate question.
Uh-huh.
And we are both the authorizer, and we, by definition, have oversight of charter schools within the Santa Barbara County anyway. So even if we weren't the authorizer, we have some oversight over charter schools. So what's the difference between the two, and is there some potential conflict?
May I speak for you? There definitely is no conflict. It's just, this is a very common, it's actually frankly, it's been uncommon for our county to not authorize charters. And it's nothing about pro or not pro charter. It just has been the situation. In case that was on your mind, county offices authorize charters up and down California. And we also have some oversight over charter schools, so it's not a conflict. In terms of the differences, I think I'd like to pause and come back and share what we're learning in terms of what does it really mean to be an authorizer, and what does it mean as different from what we've done before. So I'd like to come back to you with more specifics. But it's not a conflict.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I think conflict, I think of let's say Olive Grove, Santa Maria. Santa Maria Bonita School District decides one day, it's like, we don't think you've been hitting all the buttons, you're not checking all the boxes. We're not going to reauthorize you. Olive Grove, Santa Maria is like, well, we think you're wrong. So we're going to appeal to
the county board at that
county board.
That's right.
So this board that's authorizing Olive Grove, Santa Barbara decides you're not checking all the boxes. They say, yes, we are. We're going to appeal to.
I don't know that they will have an opportunity to appeal because after the county board, there is no state board authorization any further. But exactly, this is a unique situation because Olive Grove has been state board authorized.
Right.
In other charter schools, like the one in Santa Maria, Joint Union High School District actually will be the authorizer. In 5 years from now, if Olive Grove decides to ask for a renewal, then it becomes the process that we've been used to for a long time, which is that should it get denied at the district level, then it comes to the county board. Yeah. So great questions. Thank you. Yes.
It's a little bit of a follow-up from my last question. So with the Santa Barbara Unified being that sponsoring LEA, what type of relationship will they have with this partnership or agreement, if you will?
So I think will be just like it has been with the state board being the authorizer. They've coexisted. So it's been one school here and a district here. The school exists in the district boundaries, but they just really haven't had any necessary relationship, but they've had, I'm sure, conversations and things like that. So it would be that same thing, saying the Santa Barbara Unified School District won't have any, I just don't know that they'll have any must do relationships. Yeah.
I guess the question is, because they're being fiscally impacted, would they then come to us to say, since we're the authorizer, this, not necessarily, I guess demand's not the right word, but requests or recommendations, because it's different when it's the state, it's a little bit more removed, but now that we have a little bit more closer proximity to each other, would there be any like that relationship? Would they be able to, like I said, give us recommendations or requests because of their fiscal relationship?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The way I see it now is that could factor in 5 years from now. So if there was a reason that we thought we would want to renew, but perhaps Santa Barbara at the time would want to make public comment to say, consider not renewing, as an example, but it wouldn't come into play, I believe, until 5 years from now, as more of a member of the public as comment versus a request as an entity. I could be wrong. I'm just speculating at this point. Yeah.
There's no off ramp between now and 5 years from now.
Correct. That's right. That's right. Yes. So it has been authorized for 5 years, and we are the state board acted for us to be the authorizer. And I know I have had the privilege of having maybe 4 more hours of an on ramp than you have. So you're processing these questions, and I appreciate that I've really shared a lot with you at one time. Your questions are perfect, and I don't have all the answers now, but we will learn and we will share what this all means. And like I said, I think even with now 4 hours from now, you will be at the same place I am too, which is we are here to serve the students well. We want to have great relationships with all of our public schools, our charter schools, our public schools as well. It's about, serving and choices, and this is our new role. And so we will eagerly seek out really amicable and collegial relationships with the Olive Grove Charter Executive Director and staff, and keep you posted along the way.
I think it would be a great presentation to bring to this board too.
Great.
I mean, some of us have been around a long time and gone through a couple of denial appeal hearings.
Yes.
And yeah, so I think it would be really interesting to hear from them.
Thank you. We'll do that. And so now for my final update, let me pass things on to Austin, and he'll give you an update. Thank you.
Right. So from one set of unanswered questions to another. So you may have read about this Supreme Court opinion that came out last week that has to do with this tension that's been growing between parental notice rights and student privacy rights. Basically what happened is there has been different policies enacted around the state, some of them based on models that the state has put out or CSBA that limit what teachers can disclose to parents without the student's consent. And specifically that has to do with like gender identity or gender expression at school. A lot of that was based on a body of law specific to California. There's specific privacy rights in California. There's specific student minor rights that have been recognized in California. And what happened was the federal court issued an injunction saying, okay, and this was Escondido Union School District where this happened. They said that part of your policy where you tell teachers that they may not release this information to parents without student consent, that's going to be invalid now. Parents have a fundamental right to that kind of information about their student. And that was going up on appeal to the Ninth Circuit. There was a request to stay that injunction. So basically to say, okay, don't enforce that injunction while we figure out this stuff on appeal. That stay got appealed to the Supreme Court in what we call the shadow docket or the rocket docket, or, there's a lot of names for it, but it's basically the emergency kind of phone line to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court issued this fairly brief, for them, opinion that reinstated the federal district court's injunction on those types of policies. I know that's like a lot of like follow the bouncing ball kind of stuff, but essentially there's some things we know and there's some things that are kind of like to be determined. What we know, because there's also potentially a state law affected by this, but we know that any policy that says that a teacher may not disclose this kind of information about gender expression, gender identity without the student's consent, can't enforce that anymore. So you might see some districts kind of scrambling maybe to rewrite their policies or to adjust that if they have similar types of language. I haven't actually seen like specific language that went as far as the Escondido language. Most of it says like case by case, or, there's some caveats built into it. The bigger place this comes into effect is if districts have trained teachers or staff to withhold that information without student consent. And that's what's going to have to change. There's a little bit of disagreement in the legal sphere, I guess, about the extent of this ruling, whether it only applies within the class, the specific class of plaintiffs. As far as I can tell, if you're not adjusting to this ruling, you're putting yourself at a huge risk of a Section 1983 civil rights lawsuit in federal court. So districts should probably adjust their training in response to this. So so like I said, this was kind of what we call an interlocutory ruling. So now it goes back to the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit has their marching orders from the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has said parental rights win in these cases. And that's, how we're going to rule if you don't rule otherwise. So the Ninth Circuit is likely, well, you never know with the Ninth Circuit. They may, march to the beat of their own drum. We'll see. But there's about 40 other of these cases out there that are making their way up, and we have a pretty good idea of how those are going to turn out now. And so now it's just a matter of time before we start to see the precedents take effect. So anyway, that's the short answer of, what you might have read about last week. Short-ish answer.
I may have missed this, so please bear with me. On things like sexual abuse and things like that, there are a certain class of employees that are mandatory reporters. Does this fall under the category of a mandatory reporting, that if a child says something to the parent, but to the teacher, that the teacher has to report it, therefore? So it would only come up if the parent asks the teacher directly?
Right.
Okay.
So there is no mandatory report
Okay.
yet, as of now.
Okay.
Okay. This is exactly. You look for the
silver lining.
But yeah, if you can't withhold the information if asked, you can't not provide that part of a student's record. If there's a parent's bill of rights in the education code, and they have a right to this kind of information about their kids. And so this just reinforces this idea that has been out there in a lot of districts, but that parents are entitled to that portion of the record, and it's not a case-by-case determination anymore. If they ask, they need the answer. And I mean, there's other parts of it too. If a parent objects to the pronouns that the student has asked to be called by, the teachers have to go by what the parent says. So that's part of the injunction too. So there's kind of some other little wrinkles to this that need to be sussed out.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you, President Ehrman. I'll pass it back to you.
All right, so now we are going to move on to the consent agenda. And at this time, the board will consider all items below together and act upon them in a single vote. It includes the meeting minutes from February 12th, the registration of credentials and other certification documents, acceptance of donations, declaration of surplus, and insurance acceptance of a high school graduation diploma. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And I just do want to add that I've been seeing an increase of high school diplomas in every meeting, and it's really heartening to see that. And every time they mention the staff and the educators and how they've changed their mind about education. And I think that that is a great example and would love to learn more about what they're doing there because it's working. So we'll move on to action items. And the first is going to be the recommended approval of the second interim report. And this is the report that will be presented by the Board Budget Committee for approval as part of the budget monitoring process. And I will hand this over to Member Walker to explain and discuss it.
Well, we had a lively budget meeting, lots of good information, great staff, phenomenal staff. So actually, I'm going to punt to Steve. This is recommend approval of second interim report. Steve, would you highlight for us?
Great, thank you. And thanks for the meeting. It was a great meeting. We always appreciate the questions that we get. Obviously, there's budget information and material to go over, but we look at that often and frequently. And so to see and hear your perspective, get the questions that come up, relate the finance, the budget piece to the program piece is always appreciated. So we always take away ways in which we can work to present this in a more dynamic way. So I'll start there. As far as the second interim goes, this does reflect our expenditures and revenues that are known as of January 31st. So those changes to the budget at second interim are consistent with the budget that we adopted last year for our 25-26 budget. Kind of big picture overview, our beginning balances remain the same. We updated those at first interim, and so those will remain the same until the next budget cycle. In terms of revenue, we did see an approximately $1 million increase in revenue. Part of that was because of interest earned in our funds being higher than what we budgeted. And that tends to be our consistent practice. We budget at a conservative number, and if the interest rates come in higher, then we'll see an increase in revenue from that perspective. We also saw an increase in revenue due to differentiated assistance. So we are funded per district and charter that are in differentiated assistance. When we adopt the budget, we project that number for the upcoming year. That number isn't really released until after first interim, so we don't get to update it until second interim. So we had a couple more districts in differentiated assistance, so we see an increase in funding resulting from that. On the expenditure side, we saw a decrease in about $3.5 million. And a portion of that has to do with vacant salaries and then the associated benefits with those. And in addition, there was an increase in funding for the early care and education program, specifically for the alternative payment program. And so with an increase on the revenue in that fund, which is separate than our general fund, we will see an increase in indirect costs. So that indirect cost, the increase reduces our expenditure. So kind of a back and forth there, but it ultimately results in decreased expenditures. And then we did see a little bit of an adjustment in our JCCS program. You were mentioning the graduates. We have a contribution to that every year. It doesn't fully fund itself, so there's a general fund contribution to that program. There's still a contribution, but it's a little bit less at second interim because Dos Puertas had an increase in attendance, average daily attendance. So that's adjusted throughout the year at each of these interims. So because of that adjustment, they get a little bit more revenue and our contribution goes down a little bit. And so ultimately, where we ended was with a surplus of a little over 4 million, and that is up from adopted, and then that is reflected in the ending balances. And so those increases were kind of what I explained previously. So I'll kind of end there and see if there's any questions.
Any question? The budget committee is recommending and making a motion for approval of the second interim report. I'm not sure, does the chair call for that question or?
Yes, so yes, we are looking for a motion for the approval of the second interim.
I so move.
Second.
I'll second.
And we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No
Steve-
opposed?
So Steve, I will make one comment just in terms of, one of the conversations that came up in the budget committee meeting is we really do have good staff. I mean, I go through this, a lot of numbers, right? A lot of programs. So often I'm asked, like, what is really the role of the budget committee? And then what is the role of the board as it relates to the budget? And there is this fiduciary part that we have. So, I think we have an obligation not to just look at Steve and Susan and go, well, they got it. I mean, there's got to be some effort on our part to understand it. I don't think there's, just read through it. There's not a lot to challenge, but that's our responsibility as trustee. And the second piece for me that we're having conversations, because I do think there's an opportunity, is to get this into bite-sized pieces, right? So that really on the advocacy side, so that when we're in our communities, somebody says, well, how big is the budget? That's kind of on the tip of your tongue. I mean, that's kind of easy by size, but we don't really talk about it a lot. And so it may not be in your head, but that would be a piece that, the budget committee and Steve and Susan can help us understand. That one should be in your head. You should know how big the budget is. So like, well, if you just hear that number wrong, it's a big number. I mean, relative to my budget, it's pretty big. And it's like, so what are you spending that kind of money on? Again, I don't know what each trustee knows, but I think we need to get that to bite-sized pieces so that you really are able to talk about it in some sort of general way that makes sense, first of all, to you. And then second, so we all know that waste and abuse is a common topic about what's wrong with governments and what's wrong with politics. Like, you're just spending money any and everywhere. Well, no, the money is being spent where it should be spent, and it's being spent responsibly. But how well can we articulate? Probably not very well. And so, again, I don't think we're there, but I do know, and I appreciate the fact that Susan and Steve were working on trying to get us stuff so that, number one, it really is in our head. It's like, okay, I got the big picture piece on how the budget works. And that we're a little bit better able to explain to people in our community. So thank you guys for that.
Yep. Okay, for the audit.
Yes, right. So
Yep.
now number 16, accept and file annual financial.
So quick overview of the audit. Our financial audit for 24-25 did come back with an unmodified audit opinion, which is a good audit and no indication of lack of going concern. There was one finding. The finding was specifically within our ECE program, and it had to do with essentially documentation required for a stipend. There was vendors that had similar names. A particular survey wasn't completed. We thought it was completed, filed the stipend, and so that item was flagged. So in response to that, we had corrective action and essentially are adding another layer of evaluation. So a checks and balances to ensure that all of the required documentation is submitted, verified prior to those payments in the future. And so within our fiscal department, we have that additional layer to be able to conduct that action in the future.
If I may just from my auditing background, add this perspective of finding, a finding, it means that during the auditor's test of transactions, which they pull a sample, they don't test every transaction, they pull a sample. During that test, they found something that didn't follow the stated procedure. They found one thing in the test of transactions having to do with the stipends in early childhood education. So they pulled, I think there was 60 more to expand their sample and found nothing. So that's what a finding is in this regard.
Yeah, thank you for that.
If you don't mind, I do have one small question just for my own knowledge. For the audit, there was a question about the pension liability and the OPID liability. Can you just explain what that was about or what that?
So I can see if Nicole isn't able to be with us today, but
Okay.
Araceli Vasquez, our controller, is here. I'm just gonna ask her if she can answer that, and if not, then I'll have to get back to you on
No
that. But Araceli, are you familiar with that item?
That's fine. It was just on page 2. And I just wanted to understand that a little bit more.
Okay. So I can bring that back to you.
Okay, no problem. All right, thank you. Okay, and so at this time, we'd like to make a motion to acknowledge and the receipt of the audit report and order it filed. So do I have a motion?
I so move.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So the vote passes. And then we will move on to item number 17, the recommended adoption of resolution for application for waiver for educational interpreter certification. So
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm Amy Ramos, Director of Human Resources. There is a process required by the State Board of Education. We have a classification of educational interpreter, American Sign Language. These are staff, classified staff who work in special education. The sign language interpreter certification exam is very comprehensive and a difficult exam to pass. Most people or many people need multiple attempts before they pass it. And so we have created a level of that job where people are permitted to work on a waiver, which is granted by the State Board of Education. So we have to go through a pretty comprehensive application process to apply for a waiver on behalf of one of our staff for them to work as an interpreter until they are able to pass the exam for certification. And one of the steps that they require is a board resolution. And we have explained that the superintendent is the employer because we are a COE, and that does not matter to them. They still want a board resolution. So that is why this item is on your agenda. So anyway, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the process. That's it in a nutshell.
How many of these interpreters do you have?
Not enough.
Not enough, yeah.
We probably have about half a dozen or so, and we have so we're applying for a waiver on behalf of this person. I'm actually going to be coming back to you and asking for another waiver because we just got the results from another employee who took the exam, and it's not high enough to pass, but high enough to apply for a waiver.
So do you have to ask for a waiver for individuals? It
We
can't
do.
be just like, yes, we're going to have a
Correct.
waiver. So it's,
Yeah, each individual person, because so a passing score on the most commonly used exam is a 4. And so the State Board of Education likes to see a score of at least 3. So we have to provide the results for the individual person who took that. And also another item that they require is a mentoring plan. So the individual is supposed to get mentoring from a certified interpreter with a plan towards ultimately being able to pass the certification exam.
how long does the waiver last?
You know, that is a good question. We have periodically had to apply for renewals. But they usually issue them for a while, and usually people are able to pass before to apply for a reading.
Sometimes taking the test twice, like it would take me about 5 times. So
Yeah.
I totally get it. I'm not asking to
It's
challenge.
very difficult.
Asking out of curiosity, like how many you employ, what does that look like?
Right.
I was gonna ask one more. Oh well, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. So, do we have a motion to adopt the resolution number 2608 for the application of waiver for educational interpreter certification?
I so move.
I'll second.
And now we have a roll call vote.
Okay, Mrs. Alvarez Flores.
Aye.
Dr. Armistead.
Aye.
Mrs. Cardy.
Aye.
Ms. Ehrman.
Aye.
Mrs. Frost.
Aye.
Mrs. Reed. Aye. Mr. Walker. Aye. Thank you. Motion passes.
Perfect. So now we move on to informational items. We have item number 18, which is a personnel report. Number 19, which is correspondence from the California Department of Education confirming a positive certification of the Santa Barbara County Board of Education first interim report for 2025 and 2026. And number 20 is an update on the property purchased in Santa Maria. So Associate Superintendent Steve Torres and Director of Facilities Mark Cunningham will provide a brief update on the Santa Maria Airport facility.
Thank you. I get my long sleeve. So it is exciting times. We have, I'll start by just the update. The big update is that on February 27th, the tenants vacated the property. So per our purchase and sale agreement, they had 10 days, or 10 days after we would close escrow. So we officially closed escrow on Tuesday. Yes, it's a big deal. We picked up the keys yesterday. I think Mark's already switched alarm codes, or at least in contact with the company. So so that's a big major step here. We're in the process of all those kind of basic logistics, switching utilities, things like that. Obviously, we need to keep the building operational while we're, going into the plan and design phase. So all those things are underway and taking place. So far, so good in that regard. Moving to kind of the design side, prior to closing last month, the team went through, took our last test fit with the architects and went through and highlighted areas. Mark kind of identified these are the things that we need to look at and make decisions on, so we can get a final test fit, which is kind of the foundational design for the architectural plans, site plans, engineering plans that'll be developed ultimately for the project. So that was exciting because we hadn't been there in a while. So it was good for everyone to see what the paper actually meant when we went back into the space. So we had some more good ideas and updates there. We should be getting that final test fit in the next few days. Architectural services, we are in the process of trying to secure those. So a firm to develop our plans. It may be the firm that we used for the test fit. It may be another firm. So we're in that process right now. And that could include other art/design type services as well. Those don't all have to be part of the same firm. So we want to make sure we identify individuals that are going to do this work that will represent kind of what we want and need within that building. And then similarly, we are looking and beginning to speak with firm or to contract for kind of clean energy services, sustainable energy. So we don't necessarily have to do that with the architectural that we use for the architectural services. So looking at all their alternatives that may be cheaper, may have different programs that are beneficial to public institutions like ours. So that would include solar panels, EV charging, battery backup, similar to what a generator would be, but a more sustainable option for that. So that's kind of where we are and kind of turning the corner onto those big planning stages. I know Mark kind of helped me put the information together, but if there's any questions, we can both answer those questions. Yes.
I had one concern about empty buildings in anywhere, but empty buildings, especially, especially large business buildings like that. Are we going to consider some kind of security on the premises until, and that even extends through construction because they break in and get tools and things that they know the workers only there during the day. So just interested in what your plan was for that.
The building currently has an intrusion alarm, and I'm just going to continue on with that exact same service of monitoring it. And we're going to update the contact names to, the top 4 people for ourselves that would pick up the phone at any time and respond and say, call the police if an intrusion alarm went off. And in this case, if we know nobody's in there, then I would automatically have the police called. But yes, I'll carry that service over day one. We've contacted them. They're sending us a new contract to get that signed up.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Remind me, is this city or county?
It's city.
It's
Yeah.
Quick question about the choice of architect, or how will that be chosen? Okay, the best.
Yeah, so there isn't a formal bid, but we'll collect proposals from at least 2 architects. We have right now an architect that did the previous renovation on the building. The previous owner was utilizing them to get us that test fit. So that is an architect that we've been working with. We've also worked with an architect when we were exploring the preschools that we had a really good working relationship with, very responsive. And so, those are 2 architects that we're comfortable with, and we'll look at proposals from both of those. Yeah, no, because they're architectural services, there's no limit that requires us to go to formal bid, but we do want to get multiple proposals just to compare.
Any other questions? Comments?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Please stay up here for just a moment. I just wanted to pause and acknowledge this moment, for Santa Maria, for the county office, for serving students where we have the most of our programs are serving our students, and thank you because and thank the trustees, Steve and Mark and team, for the many iterations of information and decision making. It's an investment. It's exciting. Can't wait to have you come back into it. But we definitely are in some throes of details. And as I shared at the board meeting last month, after going back in that morning, the staff did, it just felt right. It just felt right. So deep appreciation. I know it comes with investments like these. While it can be very, 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 very positive, we're looking all together at it from different angles, and so appreciate that. For now, I will say we continue to look at other facilities as well, and we'll in the future, hopefully very near future, we'll continue some conversations about other properties that we're considering, but nothing to report on that today. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Good job.
I'm not sure if, I'm sorry, because I did find what you were talking about. I didn't know if I should just address it now, your question about the audit. Yeah. So, because I know a month will go by and, but I think it was the language around the significant risk about?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it was
okay.
page 2.
Understood. Sorry, I did see that the first time around.
Yeah, no.
So the auditor identifies several areas that are identified as risk, not because of our practices or our finances, but because of typically the large costs associated with them. So for stirs and pers, that's one of those scenarios where in every audit report, it's going to be identified as a risk. It's not because of our practices. It's just because of the high cost. We have, stirs and pers employees, throughout. So that's really a requirement that's included in here. It's not specific to us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. All righty. So now we will move to future agenda items, which we discussed a little bit, the board retreat. So for July 9th, mid-county location to be determined. And so we'll have that next meeting, more details around that. And item 22 is adjournment to the next meeting on April 9th in Santa Barbara. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I wanted to propose something for a future agenda item.
Yes.
If I could, I'm sorry. I wanted to invite the Teen Center Program Manager, Girls Inc. Santa Barbara. They do a huge teen leadership advocacy council. Know a little bit about it because my daughter's in it. And she's doing a great job. But they're doing a trip from April 6th to the 8th to the Bay Area for a huge advocacy hub. And then they're doing another Girls Leading Change Summit in Missouri from July 13th to the 16th. So I don't know if we want to wait until after both of those trips to have them do a presentation, or if you want to see them in between. I pitched the idea to the program manager, who was ecstatic.
Yeah.
And then we also have Future for Lompoc Youth, which is another outstanding outreach for our teams in Lompoc. And I can come up with a huge list of more. But these two are really at the front. I've been talking to them. So
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Any other?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I guess I'd like to have a better understanding of what's it called? Olive. What's it called? No, the one up on the mountain.
Oh, Hope Refuge.
Yeah. Number one, just what they're doing. Number two, what is our responsibility, if any, with respect to that organization? I believe that they're using something or other,
Trivium Charter School is their educational program there.
which we do have some over later now.
They are a charter school within Santa Barbara County.
Yeah.
They're authorized by Blockman
Okay.
District.
Yeah.
And so they Hope Refuge utilizes Trivium Charter. Yeah.
Just, I mean, I know we've had some conversations but it would be helpful, certainly to me, and I think to my colleagues, to just have a better understanding of. And I'm specifically interested in what is our responsibility with respect to that organization.
I have a question, just a kind of a follow-up question of that. Our transitional age youth program does interact with the short-term placement. I forget the acronym, programs. And so they would have some sort of interaction with Olive Crest in that respect as well, correct?
Happy to bring this back and talk about our connections or responsibilities, if any, in terms of the residential center. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Any other future items, questions? Okay, so do we have a motion to adjourn? Move to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Gonna have to she can watch that playback. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right. All right, meeting adjourned.